Hi, it's Siobhan at By Books. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. Today I'm going to talk about a somewhat controversial topic, and I don't know if you can see all the stuff I've changed on my bookshelves, but I'm going to be talking about Rowling, and most notably the things that JK Rowling has been saying lately and how that impacts, I think, a lot of writing and fans and stuff like that. As you can see, I have been a fan for a while, wearing my Hufflepuff top and my Hufflepuff bow that I think I got from Hot Topic. For this, I do have actually, I tossed it on the bed, so. A Gryffindor bow as well. I've got a lot of merch actually. And even like drinks left over from when we went to Universal Studios, and that's probably the one pumpkin juice my son didn't drink, and I wouldn't drink it now. So I should actually start, I think. So I'm going to adjust the camera. I might keep doing it. So I'm going to start by talking about how I actually got into Harry Potter, because there's a little bit of a story to it. So I, growing up, used to love the Babysitters Club books. Could devour a book in an hour. Like, loved those books so much. Like, Stacey was Goals, but I'm probably much more of a Marianne, I think. Hopefully not shy. Anyway, so I would love those books, and I would read things like Point and horror and Point romance and stuff like that as well, like things that made me happy. I think, you know, reading should always be an enjoyable experience. So, but my high school friends would be like, Siobhan, why are you reading kids' books? Oh my god. Just really like play me down a little bit. And then one of them one day was reading The Philosopher's Stone on the bus, and I was like, oh my god, why are you reading a kid's book? Like, trying to give back what I always got. And she was like, well, if you read it, you know how amazing it was, and out of principle I would not read it. So I'm just gonna, that gap is bothering me. So out of principle I wasn't going to read it. And then my parents actually bought the first 4 books for my little sister. I think that's the last one of the 4. Oh no, and that one. I've replaced it. But no, I've replaced those 2 since. But my sister just left it sitting at the top of the stairs, unread. And books don't go unread when I'm around. So I picked it up, and I did what I did with Twilight. I read like the first 4 novels in days, probably about 2 or 3. It didn't take me long at all. And then Order of the Phoenix came out not long after that, and I'd actually just started work, and it was really funny. I'd read all through the night, and then gone to work. I worked at a gym at that point, and I walked past the swimming pool, and so many people were outside reading Order of the Phoenix around the pool. And it was just like, if you're going to read a book, do you have to do it on a show at a gym? I don't get it. But also I could spoil it for you if you want. So yeah, I got into it late, and pretty much, like, if they hadn't teased me for reading the Babysitters Club, I would have taken that recommendation on board straight away and read it. And had a few more years of anxiety waiting for the next story to come out. So yeah, I did fall for it as soon as I read it. I think, like most, sorry, I've got something going on with my eye. I think, like most people, I fell for the narrative, the imagination, the possibility that the world's created, things that are in there. I don't know how much of the current issues you've been paying attention to, but Jedward are killing it, and I never thought I'd say that. Like, my respect for Jedward went overnight. Anyway, so I think, like everyone, I found a part of myself in those stories. My hair is very much Hermione hair when I don't straighten it to death or put it up. I put it up in a bun for work a lot, mainly because it's so hot at work and I don't want a sweaty neck. Ugh. So, you know, like everyone, I've embraced the fandom. I think I went to the theme park 8 weeks after it opened, so not when the queues are major, but still when it was quite new. I've been to the studios countless times. It's almost like my regular birthday thing, or it was until at a certain point this year. So yeah, I've been to both quite a lot. I've got full robes there, I've got dresses, I've got clothes, I've got hair bows, I've got, you know, I don't know if you can see, behind my favourite Greek god, Artemis. But, oh, that's another train. But I've got like analysis books. I got, okay, I can't get it out because it's hefty, but I've got this thing that I got from Amazon. It's Tales of Beedle the Bard, but it was like in a leather bound book. I was going to say something else and I don't know what. And it has like silver filigree on it and like fake gems and stuff, and it looks really nice, and I don't get it out. It's got its own like display case and it stays in there. You know, so I've done the whole fandom thing. I read The Casual Vacancy because, you know, if an author has given me so much joy, why wouldn't I try and support them further? I think I was one of the few people who actually kind of enjoyed The Casual Vacancy. I think I have A Cuckoo's Calling from Robert Galbraith, but I haven't read it. I know. That's going to stay on the to-be read pile, I think. So yeah, like, I've done the whole fandom thing. But recent issues have come to light, haven't they? And I think people are very divisive on it. I won't go into too much detail with all of this, so please understand that I'm doing this for people's privacy and not for other issues. But I will say that there has been someone in my life, and I'm not saying how well I know them or anything like that, but I do know of someone who was they weren't a very nice person. I don't really want to go into how awful they were, but imagine the worst thing you can do to a person he did. And then he transitioned, and I think he was trying to tell us, and I will say he for this person because I think they're an absolute cretin, but he tried to tell us what had happened, and you know, it's very much the pinnacle of what Rowling is talking about in terms of trans people are this, that and the other, they do this in bathrooms, but because I know someone who's like that, I think, you know, it's very easy to go down that route. But also I know that that person clung to being transsexual to try and cover the worst of their crimes, really, to try and excuse the way they were, and they should have the sympathy. And I don't think that's because they are trans. I think that's because they were an awful person, and because it's easier to make that kind of stereotype. And actually I think that kind of person is the worst kind of person, because they do so much damage for people who genuinely feel like they're built in the wrong body. And I think knowing that that person is the exception that proves the rule, if that makes sense, like by proving that they are someone who could fit into the world that Rowling is saying exists, they kind of prove that other trans people aren't like that. I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but trust me when I say that he was just one example of how trans people are not. I've known quite a few trans people in my life. Like I've said with the Alice in Wonderland story, I've read trans authors like both Meredith Russo and Juno Dawson are very much out, and they are wonderful writers. Also, if I ever cover Birthday, like, I am in love with the design they've put on the page. I'm just going to look for it. Bear me a second. It's just going to split screen. Yes, Meredith Russo's book. Look at that. It's called Birthday. It looks like a birthday candle. So yeah, I find some really amazing authors out there who are trans, and they wouldn't do that sort of thing. And I think, you know, Rowling possesses a unique position where she has a voice that billions across the world will hear, and she has to think more about what consequences there are to her opinions, I guess, because there are going to be consequences. And to, you know, put out these tweets where people are saying, look, we can read between the lines, you taught us how to do that, and what we're reading right now is awful. And then to put out a book, the latest Robert Galbraith, where a character embodies the things she's saying about, which doesn't encapsulate the trans community, like, that is so damaging. And that's why I really love what Jedward's saying, because they're saying at a time when the trans community is really struggling with everything going on in America and all the consequences of the decisions being made out there, you're going to put out this view and then write a book with this view. Like, JK Rowling is not stupid, and to put out such negativity and then to double down and double down and double down, like, she's causing so much harm to so many people. And for so many people who used to see her as a guiding light to finding happiness, like, that is a really toxic way to be. That's such a slap in the face to everyone who's ever been a fan of hers. And, you know, you think of all the products that are out there and the fact that there's a theme park and studio tours and stuff, and she's making money just by breathing, and then she does that to people who have invested so much of their personality and their time and what money they do have. Oh my god, what fell? Something on my shelves is not happy about me being anti-Rowling right now. I think it was one of the psychology books, actually. But my point is that, you know, when you have an audience like that, and you have an audience of all ages, of all types of people who have found, you know, part of themselves in the world you've created, to then dismiss it entirely, it's just to do an injustice to the people who have given you so much love and support. And I think, you know, authors don't necessarily have an obligation to do right by anyone, but with Rowling's history of all the things she does for charity and stuff like that, to then turn around and say, I will help these people, but not these people because these people are bad, that's no charity to me. Like, that's like people who brag about whenever they give a donation because they're such good people. It undermines it completely. And I think, you know, for fans, it's a really hard thing to try and separate, you know, things that happened in their formative years, because a lot of this came out while I was still growing. To separate that from the person she is now and the things she's saying now is a tough thing. Like, it's almost negating a part of yourself. So what do we do as fans? Do we get rid of all her stuff? But then that's getting rid of part of us. Like, what are you supposed to do when someone you've trusted so long does something so negative? And I get that this is kind of like I follow someone who runs a couple of comms, and he said it's a similar trajectory for him. For Michael Jackson, he can't listen to Michael Jackson's music anymore. Someone who was saying, if you still have Rowling stuff, you are supporting anti-trans rights, and comparing it to Chick-fil-A. And I was like, well, yeah, but you can stop buying from Chick-fil-A, but that doesn't get rid of all the Chick-fil-A you've ever had. So what do you do when you've already invested? So it's something I'm still muddling through. I think my course of action from now is to change my bookshelves completely. I want it to be more reflective of the books I'm reading now, because I haven't changed this in a few years and it's a little bit dusty. It's gross. So yeah, I'm gonna do that for me. I'm not going to get rid of my Harry Potter stuff because, like I said, it's part of me, it's part of who I am. You know, I wanted to impart that story on my son when he was young. And actually, by reading to him, I realised, actually, this is not as well written as you might think. Like, I don't know if that's because I'm coming from a rights perspective or because I've devoured so many books since, but I found, especially in Philosopher's Stone and somewhat in Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban, that paragraphs didn't have a flow. They were very, you know, this happened, this happened, this happened, and then the story kind of grew on from there. And then from the bigger books, she's a lot more consistent, and there is like a continuity between, you know, one thought and the next. So we're able to, you know, I stopped from about Goblet of Fire thinking, oh my god, like, this has no flow. And you've got to have flow in a book. So yeah, I think, you know, as I'm getting older, it's something that belongs in my past. The same way that when I reread The Chronicles of Narnia, which I've loved since I was a little girl, when I was very young, I was the fourth child of four, and we went boy, girl, boy, girl. So I was Lucy Pevensey, and when my stepdad introduced me to the Pevensey kids, I spent a lot of time crawling in wardrobes and cupboards and all sorts. I was a lot littler back then as well. So yeah, but then rereading that to my son, I was like, oh my god, I'm going to have to say things that I don't agree with because they were written in the 1950s and those words have a different connotation now, or, you know, there's more consequences to using those words right now. So I think, you know, you grow as a person, literature grows as well. I'm just going to change my bookshelves to reflect that a bit more, get them a bit more organised. Maybe make all my to-be-read books in this bookshelf. I do have other ones here, but they tend to be like a little bit more hodgepodge, and all my classics are over on that side of the room because I've got eaves like that, so I've only got a couple of spots for bookshelves and wardrobes and stuff. So yeah, I think that's me personally. I know other people have other views, and you know, you probably love Rowling no matter what she says, or you love Harry Potter and it doesn't matter about JK Rowling, the books are separate to you, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to be like a gatekeeper to how people process this, but yeah, I think it's worth noting as well, especially as like whenever I do like writing things or I talk to agents or like Scooby stuff, they always reference Harry Potter. Everyone wants to be the next Harry Potter and stuff like that, and you know, when that's part of my world, and you know, you read books and every book these days makes a reference to it, it seems. Yeah, I think unwinding that from the intrinsic nature of what our lives are right now is difficult, and I don't think you should be held accountable whichever way you swing with it. But for me, you know, I can't be part of the LGBT community, and yes, ace people, oh, we are the A. I can't be part of that community and say my letter's more important than another. I know some people do that. That's your business. I'm still in it. So many people don't regard ace, bi or pan as part of LGBT because we're capable of having like different sex relationships. Like, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of gatekeeping going on in that community as well, so I'm not going to be that person. I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it, but this is where I stand on it, and I think it's important to know where you stand and how you're processing things like this. And just, I don't know if you can hear, I'm really sorry, my neighbour is having a new roof put on. They've like had like major extensions and all sorts going on, and it's distracting. But I'm off this week and my son's at school, so this is the best time to do this. But yeah, I think the best thing you can do is think about what matters to you, what's most important in terms of your growth, and what will sit well with you in terms of learning something about your favourite author that goes against the way you feel. Actually, I'm going to say there is a Babysitters Club book that deals with this sort of topic. I think it's Mallory's Mallory's the #1 fan or something like that, but it's a Mallory book, and she meets an author, and I think it's based on Anna Martin and her experience, because she ghost wrote she had a lot of those books ghost written for her, which actually kind of worked with all the different voices going on. Anyway, I do like my tangents, don't I? I'm so sorry. Imagine what it's like reading something I wrote. But yeah, I think all of this is going to find a new home. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be packed away, although I want to downsize my stuff anyway, so I might get rid of a couple of bits, but that's not a reflection on how I feel about Rowling. I'm just not going to buy any more official merchandise. If you are a creator and you have Harry Potter stuff, I will still be involved because you're not paying licensing, and I hope you don't. And I'm not getting rid of any of my fan-made stuff, of which I don't see any behind me. I'll probably, you know, watch the Fantastic Beasts movies when they're available to stream or something. I probably won't go back to the cinema for them, even though I totally love Queenie and Jacob are goals. And everyone loves Newt Scamander, come on, Eddie Redmayne. So yeah, that's where I stand on this. And if you have any thoughts or you have any comments to make, please make them below. I'd love to have like a conversation about all this, probably one that's a little bit more fluent than I am right now. And please like, subscribe if you like this. Downvote if you really love Rowling and it doesn't matter what she says and you think I'm full of it. You know, these things happen. And I guess I'll see you next time.